Ashley Babbitt, she deserves to die. Tell Mickey, I hope Ashley Babbitt's getting eaten by worms.
Now, in case some of y'all might have missed the news in the last 10 or so years, the Democratic Party in America is actively trying to destroy its own country, whilst also sabotaging its own people. Now, the reason I say their own country is because technically many of these individuals are citizens. I'm speaking of the ones in government. The ones that they're serving are far from it, most of them. And the reason I say that essentially this is not only their country, but it is their people is because, see, when you're in a government like ours, you are supposed to be representing all of the American people. For example, if you are the governor of, let's say, I don't know, just random off the top here, Minnesota, right? I don't know why that came up to mind, but I guess maybe it'll make sense sometime down the road. Let's say you are the current sitting governor of Minnesota. That means you are not only responsible for those who got you into office, but you are now responsible for all Minnesotans. Now, this goes for every single position in government. You're supposed to be a servant of the people. However, the Democratic Party has made it their sole mission to destroy the very thing they're supposed to be preserving. So earlier this morning, I came across a video by my guy, Nate Friedman, who is honestly genuinely doing incredible work. And the reason I say that is not because he's, just eloquent and informed, but he is also brave enough to go onto the scene. And I got respect for anybody who is willing to touch ground and do their thing. I pray in a time soon I'll be able to do the exact same. I will keep y'all updated on that one, but I got the most respect for him. So we're going to go ahead and get into this segment, and y'all go ahead and enjoy. Yeah, that's definitely not the segment, but we'll be getting into that also. Not in this video, but in another.
Right now, I'm representing myself, and I'm representing the folks at Rise and Resist who have been trained
so Rise
to
and
be
Resist.
marshals.
How much do they pay you to wear this vest?
Absolutely nothing.
Really?
So I did some digging, and the woman trying to stop my interview is named Karen Shaw. She is a professional protester. I found her at almost 100 different protests. Let's look at her portfolio, shall we? Here's her outside Trump Tower saying TikTok time's up. Here's her saying ban guns, not drag. Amazing. This is her telling us that lies have consequences. She is also very passionate about abortion. Even in the video right now, she's just wearing a hat that says abortion on it. Sometimes she gets less creative though and just holds a sign that says enough. Now here I found her working with a different professional protester that I've exposed. This is Stuart Waldman. He was there.
You know what I realized? Communists are lazy. You know what I mean? Like, that's the best they could just enough. I mean, we live in, the world of Chat GPT, TB, whatever. I don't use this stuff, but enough? Okay. It's not even a sentence. No. Context? No. Okay.
When they raised the Palestinian flag over City Hall in Rhode Island.
Everyone knows you.
Everyone knows me?
You are. They know what you do.
I know what you do as well, Stuart Waldman. You are on the board of riseandresist.org, the company that is paying people like Karen for a second job as a professional protester. And the donation link to give you money is just Act Blue, which is the fundraising platform for the Democrat Party. That's who you are, Stuart Waldman. Now back to Karen. I found her with another professional protester that I've exposed. This was back at the Tesla protest. This is just a few photos of this other professional protester out of maybe 50 that I found.
Well. Now, quick little story about Act Blue. It's actually not a story. It's a tragic fraud that for some reason never made it to the mainstream. So During the Palisade fires, there was a sort of almost spam-like blast message that all these Dems were putting out, from Gavin Newscam to Pocahontas, Elizabeth Warren, etc. And this was obviously, one of these little virtue signaling sort of messages. We care about the people, blase, blase, blah. Oh, yeah. Also, if you could send money for this cause, which, of course, left or right, you would do exactly that. I would at least hope so. You may not be a leftist, but you want to help your fellow peoples, your neighbor, in essence. And they posted a link that was supposedly supposed to go directly to the people who are being impacted by these fires. But instead, it turned out to be an Act Blue link, which essentially sent some of the donations over to the Democratic plantations. That's what it did. That's right, folks. Who would have thunk it? Fraud from the left? A criminal enterprise? I am utterly shocked. Now, that's one side of the equation. The fraud, the paying for activism, right? Using our money to oppose us and the agenda that majority of the American people set forward. That's one side of the equation. And fortunately, yet unfortunately, because it's still crime and fraud, and it is utterly demonic, there is the violence of the left. Now, it's interesting to me how, there was this recent incident with an ICE agent and a leftist who essentially was trying to run this officer over, or at the very least bump into him very not gently with her 4x4 as he was essentially doing his job. And so she got pew-pewed and she lost her life. And now the Democrats have scurried out of their little crevices, their little holes, right? They've just crawled out of these holes and they're all just protesting. Of course, it's a usual because they get paid for that, right? Turns out. But they're out there having these vigils and, their we will never forget moment. They're having their white lesbian, so that's non-cis white George Floyd moment is what they're having right now for Renee, I believe is her name. Now, it's interesting to me how these very same people, for the last 10 years at least, have been calling for active violence towards those on the other side of the aisle. Not just our president, which is enough. That's insane enough already. But they have been calling for the active violence towards those who hold opposing beliefs. And so I thought, you know what, better than me trying to explain all these situations, let me just go ahead and get it directly from the literal donkey's mouth, not the horse's mouth, but the donkey's mouth. So let's go ahead and get into that, shall we?
I just don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country. Maybe there will be.
People need to start taking to the streets. This is a dictator.
There needs to be unrest in the streets for as long as there's unrest in our lives.
Enemies of the state.
Show me where it says that protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful.
Do something about your dad's immigration practices, you feckless.
When they go low, we kick.
How do you resist the temptation to run up and wring her neck?
The biggest terror threat in this country is white men, most of them radicalized right up to.
Now we're going to have to stop right there. Oh, Lemonhead. We're going to have to stop it right there, buddy. I was going to give y'all an out, but no. We're not about to do that because I've got time today. I've got time today, folks. I didn't know if you knew, but I got time today. So, where art thou, internet? Where art thou? Is this you? Okay. So check this out, guys. Check this whole thing out. The greatest threat to our democracy, the greatest threat to these United States is Don Lemon's husband. Activists in the streets colonized in the sheets. Unbelievable. Look at that. Puppy chow and all. Look at that. Look at that threat. Unbelievable. He's probably playing double agent, for the black man. That's crazy. Let us continue.
Right.
I thought he should have punched him in the face. I said, even if you lost, he insulted your wife.
Yes.
He came down the escalator and called Mexicans rapists and murderers. He said, well, what do you think I should have done? I said, I think you should have punched him in the face and then gotten out of the race. You would have been a hero.
I'd like to punch him in the face. I said if we were in high school, I'd take him behind the gym and beat the hell out of him.
Wow.
Punch some people in the face.
When was the last time an actor assassinated a president?
I like Johnny. Why, Johnny? Why? Why? The entire franchise, I can't watch it anymore now. Because, Jack Sparrow's a nut. Yes, that's the point. But Jack, not the real Jack. You know what I mean? Not Johnny Jack. It's supposed to be Pirate Jack, Captain Jack.
Still going to have to go out and put a bullet in Donald Trump, and that's a fact.
Look as his character is stabbed to death.
Where is John Wilkes Booth when you need him?
You would probably know better than we do, Grandma. You grew up with him. We're going to have to skip over that head scene. Oh, Lord, here we go.
The White House.
A Missouri state senator is under investigation by the Secret Service after saying she hopes President Trump is assassinated.
I will go and take Trump out tonight.
And if you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them.
I thought that was Eddie Murphy in drag. Not gonna lie. When I first saw Maxine Waters, I thought, look, y'all gotta hear me out. Eddie Murphy, old woman. Y'all got to hear me out. I thought it was one of Eddie's many characters. You know what I'm talking about? Y'all know Eddie's many characters. Look at this. I thought it was something like that going on. You know what I mean? So maybe that's just me. Something wrong with me.
And you tell them they're not welcome anymore, anywhere.
And sadly, the domestic enemies to our voting system and our honoring our Constitution are right at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
They're not going to stop before Election Day in November, and they're not going to stop after Election Day. And that should be, everyone should take note of that on both levels, that this isn't, they're not going to let up, and they should not.
If you think we're rallying now, you ain't seen nothing yet.
Yeah, so there's that. Now, it's interesting because turns out that Scripture actually speaks directly to the founding father, in the most literal sense, the founding father of the democratic wokety woke movement. Using the word democratic is still to me. You know what I mean? They're even lying in just their name. But anyway, this reads, if God were your father, so this would be our Lord speaking directly to the Democrats. If God were your father, you would love me, meaning him, Yeshua, God made flesh. For I proceed forth and came from God, nor have I come of myself, but he who sent me. Why do you not understand my speech? Because you are not able to listen to my word. You are of your father, the devil, and the desires of your father, Democrats, you want to do. He was a murderer from the beginning, and does not stand in truth, because there is no truth in him. When he speaks a lie, he speaks from his own resources. When he speaks a lie, he's speaking from what he is, his own nature. Okay? He is a liar and the father of it. But because I tell the truth, you do not believe me. And again, this is the reason why these are always godless people. I'm not going to say if you're registered as a Democrat, right? Maybe you're registered in like the 80s or whatever it is, but you gave up on that demonic platform a long time ago. Because, if the violence isn't enough, then what about the violence in the womb, right? Maybe you care about that. If you don't, maybe it is the perversion of trying to turn our little boys into little girls and little girls into little boys. Maybe that perversion is enough for you to finally turn on the light, capital L, and get out of darkness. Everything these people push for is opposite day. It is darkness. It is for debauchery. And yet they pretend to care about, obviously, pretty much everything, so long as, it's not going to make the Christians or the Jews or the Jews look good. As long as it doesn't do that, then I think they're perfectly fine with it. Yeah, they're perfectly fine with it. Acts of terror, sure. Do they make Christians and Jews look good? No. Then we'll go with it. That's our narrative for this week. So yeah, but I tell you the truth and you do not believe me. Which of you convicts me of sin? And if I tell the truth, why do you not believe me? Now, obviously, this was in context reference to the Pharisees. And for any replacement theologists out there who believe that somehow the Gentile church has replaced the Jewish people, utter nonsense. The reason I bring that up is, here is Yeshua, Jewish Messiah, speaking to some of these high-ranking Jewish leaders. So it is Jew on Jew action taking place here. So if you think, oh, well, what those Jews did to Jesus, believe in him, spread his gospel to the Gentile nations, that sort of thing. Yeah, thank you. And then, of course, there were those who were literally in the darkness, fulfilling God's own prophecy. Now, I want to continue on to Ephesians here. We're just going as we flow. Let's see, where are we at? There we are. So, we're going to get into what exactly is the core or at the core of the issue that we're dealing with. Is it political? Seemingly. Is it social, economic? Partially. Is it spiritual? Absolutely. Hear this. And this is according to Shaul, aka Paul. We have the Iowa version of Jewish Paul. So we have, what's this? Ephesians 6 verse, we'll start at 10 and we'll read this through because we all need this. Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. Put on the whole armor of God that you may be able to stand against the wiles of the Democrat's father, aka the devil. For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood. Now, here's our call. But against principalities, against powers, and against the rulers of the darkness of this age, against spiritual hosts of wickedness in the heavenly places. So, as much as, sometimes you would love to just, give a little 1-2 combo to one of these individuals or even wish what they wish upon you. It's not what we're called to. As believers, at least, we're called to emulate God, Yeshua, in recognizing that our problem is a spiritual one. And so, this is sort of the reason why you don't see these George Floyd sort of blowouts when something happens to somebody who is, conservative in essence, right? Charlie Kirk was as loved and as notarized as anybody on the conservative side of the aisle. And yet his broad daylight assassination by a radical leftist did not lead to other people having their lives taken, because that is not what we are called to and is not what Charlie represented. We know that our battles are not our own. There is one who has overcome evil. And so we cling to him and we latch onto him. And there will be an ultimate judgment for all of mankind. Now, I know we think people are getting away with things in this life and they die and there was no justice, but I promise y'all, justice will be served because God is a just God as much as he is a God of love and righteousness and mercy and grace and forgiveness. He is also just and holy, set apart. And so those who are given over to darkness will have their day. And I pray that they don't. I pray that they come to a place where they come to know the Savior, who is not exclusive, but has been given unto all mankind. It's just us to make that decision or not. So let us continue. So what are these beings, these ghouls? Well, these are individuals who have given themselves over to these spirits, these principalities, these powers in high places, wickedness, demons. Call it what it is. Oh, that sounds primitive. What is this, the Dark Ages? Yeah, it might as well be, okay? Because you can see the darkness all around you right now. I'm just saying. Therefore, take up the whole armor of God, that you may be able to withstand the evil day, and having done all to stand. Make sure that you take on the whole armor, because there will forever be temptation. So long as you are in this fleshly, carnal, fallen world, there will be that temptation. And if you're not rooted in him, who's going to be a master? Who's going to be your daddy? Who's your daddy? Who is your father? John 8:44. Is that your father? Or Yahweh? Yeshua, God made flesh. Therefore, take up the whole armor of God, that you may be able to withstand the devil, or withstand evil in the day of evil. Withstand in the day of evil, having done all to stand. Stand therefore, having girded your waist with truth, and having put on the breastplate of righteousness, and having shod your feet with the preparation of the gospel of peace. Above all, take the shield of faith with you, which you will be able to quench the fiery darts of the wicked one, and take the helmet of salvation. Keep it on your mind. And the sword of the Spirit, which is the sword of God. So he is giving us our spiritual weaponry here. We're not called into a jihad. We're called to be salt and light. As a matter of fact, look at this here. We jump to chapter 5, verse 8. For you were once darkness, but now you are light in the Lord. Walk as children of light. For the fruit of the Spirit is in all goodness, righteousness, and truth, finding out what is acceptable to the Lord, and have no fellowship with the unfruitful works of darkness, but rather expose them. For it is shameful to even speak of those things which are done by them in secret. But all things that are exposed are made manifest by the light. For whatever makes manifest is light. Awake, you who sleep, arise from the dead, and Christ will give you light. I feel sorry for these people. My flesh, absolutely not. But in my spirit, I genuinely feel sorry for the folks who are so gone to darkness, who are so given over to darkness, so blinded by this thing, because I was one of them. Now, I wasn't a leftist, but I was a dope boy. I was in the streets. I was doing, stupid stuff. Then I became a new ager. I was worshiping demons, in essence, in real time, worshiping myself, which is the equivalent. Anything but the true living God, Yahweh, Adonai, the Elohim. I was worshiping all but the true living God, and therefore I was in darkness. As it says in 1 John, what? It's that the darkness could not comprehend the light. The light came into the world and the darkness could not comprehend it. I thought it was foolish. I thought these people have the inability to think for themselves. That's what I thought. The people who follow this old book right here are finessed, they're finagled, they're gotten. Until I finally came to a point of humility that maybe, just maybe, I didn't create myself, and therefore I don't actually understand the stuff. And the reason why my life feels so heavy right now is because I'm carrying burdens that I was never supposed to, because I didn't create myself and I don't know how this thing works. Maybe, just maybe. I pity those who are in darkness and who will die in darkness. You know, we hate the idea of it. We can't fathom the idea of it. But yet, when it's in our own carnal realm, we want justice and we understand justice. We even call for things like capital punishment. And yet we cannot understand a holy and righteous God saying, look, I made a way out for you, but this is the only way out. And if you don't want it, then there's no other way. There's either this way, the way, capital W, or there's that way, which is a waste. I know. I tried with that one. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and play out this last video to infuriate you even more. Now I'm playing. I do not want to disturb your spirit. But this is what this spirit is. This is what it will always be. And you don't fix it through policy. You don't fix it through the politics. Though you continue to aim for a godly government, it is only the Prince of Peace himself who will indeed bring ultimate peace and justice into this world. And so I pray that you cling on to him with all of your might. Love you. I appreciate you. Till the next time. Adios.
Human rights. Ashley Babbitt, she deserves to die. Tell Nikki, I hope Ashley Babbitt's getting eaten by worms. I hope she's getting eaten by worms. I hope her eyeballs are rotting out of her body. Dragged right to hell. Don't touch me.
Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Now, if you'd like to stay around, make sure to click that little subscribe button down there. Or you can show some love by going to the description below and clicking on the button titled Buy Me a Coffee. Leave a little something there, or click on the Cash App. Leave a little something here. Till the next time, peace.
Who are you praying to? In quiet times, the one you are relenting to. When seeking higher guidance, hard to mind or where to. Who are you praying to? Is a God or image? Who's that one to find your limit?